Sometimes you say we shouldn't have negative conversations in front of children. We should shield them. We should protect them. But sometimes it's in their best interest to know who's good for them and who's not good for them. Which uncle to stay away from. Which brother to stay away from sometimes. Not every family situation is ideal. You know? And sometimes parents don't want to hear. Sometimes children come and say, you know, my brother did this, or my sister did this, or this one did this, or this one. And he said, I don't want to hear it. Stop talking. I don't want to deal with anything. You know, a friend of mine used to say back, he was from Algeria, and he used to say that they, you know, they have joint family system. So they've got the guy living there, his wife is living there, their kids are living there, his brother's living there, his wife and their kids. There's like 30 kids in the house, and there's like 4 or 5 different couples, and they're all fighting, and all kinds of drama is happening all day in the house. But then the grandfather walks home, and everybody's happy all of a sudden. All the problems are gone because the grandfather had a policy: if anybody has any fight, I'm going to line all of you up and slap all of you. The fathers, the mothers, the children, everybody's going to get slapped. So by the time the grandpa came home, all the problems in the family are resolved. That's clearly not Islam. Yeah, but it apparently works for their family. The idea being, sometimes we don't want to hear it, or we don't want to deal with a conflict that actually exists. Sometimes there are members of our family that have a problem, that have an anger problem, that have a jealousy problem, that have a verbal abuse problem. Sometimes they have a physical abuse problem. Sometimes they have a scheming and lying problem. People have problems. And who knows family better than family? And so if you have to look out for someone, sometimes you even have to look out for your own sibling. It happens. And this father has the sense to know, listen, you need to look out for your brothers. You don't be naive. You're young, they're older, but don't talk about these kinds of things with them. لا تقصص رؤياك على إخوتك. Because they might hurt you in some way. And it's not their fault entirely. Inna Shaytaan lil-insani aduwwun mubin. The devil is a pretty big enemy, pretty open enemy for human beings. The devil can come anywhere. The devil's not just there between you and some stranger. The devil wants to destroy family relationships. He wants to create animosity between brother and brother, brother and sister, father and son, mother and child, mother and daughter, mother and son, etc. These family relationships is where the shaitan is active. That's what he wants to destroy first. What's the best way to destroy humanity? Destroy the unit that holds humanity together. The unit that holds humanity together is the family. So the shaitan is most active in the family. He's most active between parents and kids. He's most active between husband and wife or siblings. That's where he's most active. These blood ties or these sacred ties, that's what he wants to destroy first. If these are destroyed, what's left of humanity? Then it's all gone. And then there's the shelter, the protection that family brings is gone. And so he's successful in his scheme. So first thing that Yaqub tells his son is what to be careful about. And that's again something we learn about us and our children. We have to warn our kids about things they should be careful about. And we should also be warning our kids about people in our own family sometimes that may be toxic. That's important. It's actually a sunnah of a prophet now. It's a sunnah so important it was recorded in the Quran. To let our kids know, sometimes, not everybody in the family is okay. And Ramadan happens, and after Ramadan, Eid happens, and Eid, all the family gets together, and some of the crazy uncles come too, and some of the wild cousins come too, and some of the, everybody's together. And sometimes you gotta let your kids know ahead of time, here's the people you gotta stay away from. Here's what you have to be careful about. And you have to warn them and educate them. It's the real world, you have to prepare them. So our kids are not naive, and they don't just, in their naivete, trust anybody. Because anybody can harm them. And if this surah in the beginning teaches us anything, is that family is not necessarily a safe place. His own brothers are the ones that kidnapped him, isn't it? His own brothers are the ones that threw him in a well. His own brothers are the ones that were trying to kill him. So it's not always the case that just because someone's family, oh, it's okay, they're with their cousin, it's okay. Oh, it's okay, it's just their uncle. No, don't be naive. That's something even the Quran is telling us in very explicit terms. So that's the first thing. But more importantly, what I wanted to focus my khutbah on today with you is what he says next and what impact it has. He says, وَكَذَلِكَ يَجْتَبِيكَ رَبُّكَ. That is how Allah has especially chosen you. Your master, your nurturing master has chosen you. Ijtiba in Arabic is used when someone is chosen for something based on a skill that they have, based on some qualification that they have. To give you an example, if I just go to the store and pick out a blue shirt, I could have picked a white shirt, I could have picked a green shirt, I picked a blue shirt. That's not ijtiba, that's istifa. But when you hire someone for a job, right? When you hire a cook at a restaurant, you hire the best cook. You don't just say, this guy's wearing a blue shirt, you got the job. That's not how that works. You got to hire the best cook. That's called ijtiba, the right kind of choice for the right kind of job. So when someone's qualified to do the work and you select them, or even if you're working on your car or something and you need a certain tool, you pick the right tool for the right kind of screw, right? That when you make that right selection, that's called ijtiba. When he uses this word for Yusuf alayhi salam, he's telling his son, you have a skill. You have good qualities in you. And those qualities are the basis on which Allah is choosing you for a special task. And then he starts telling him, not only, what skill is that? وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِن تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. Allah will teach you. It seems Allah is going to be teaching you how to interpret all kinds of speech, not just dreams. You're able to figure things out, what people say and what's behind what people say. Sometimes people say one thing, but it's something behind it, another reality behind it. He's going to make you highly intelligent at analyzing speech. وَيُعَلِّمُكَ مِن تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ وَيُتِمُّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكَ. And Allah will complete His favor on you, meaning you have a great future ahead of you. You have a fantastic future ahead of you. Now this is the talk father is giving to his son, that Allah has chosen you, you have a special skill, then you're going to learn to interpret all kinds of speech, you're very intelligent, and Allah will complete His favor. I'm sure Allah has a great future planned for you. And then He says, كَمَا أَتَمَّهَا عَلَى أَبَوَيْكَ. And it's the same kind of future, that perfection of Allah's favor that Allah gave to your ancestors, Ibrahim, Ishaq. Meaning, you are part of a proud legacy. You're going to make your ancestors proud. These few words were so important. And I'll tell you now why I highlighted these words. Because soon after this conversation, Yusuf alayhi salam has been kidnapped. And soon after that, he will not see his father again. It's going to be his entire youth, his childhood, is going to be spent in a non-Muslim family. He's going to be a servant in a non-Muslim family. There's no Islamic influence. He's not going to go to Islamic school. He's not going to have a masjid access. He's not going to have any sort of Muslim community environment. He's going to be in Egypt, where they don't worship Allah, actually. And he's going to live in a politician's house. So if normal people's house, you might not see all that corruption, but he lives in a politician's house, who's got a psychotic wife on top of that. And he's a servant with no adult moral supervision. Nobody, servants, they serve their master and do whatever, but in their free time, they're free to do whatever they want. At least if for a child there should be some kind of parental guidance, there is going to be no parental guidance. There's going to be no societal guidance. The society is a bad environment. And by the way, after spending some years in that negative environment, he's going to get falsely accused. And he's going to end up in jail for a few years. And what kind of positive environment is there inside of a jail? What kind of people is he around? He's around criminals for several years. He's not around some positive atmosphere that is going to cultivate his personality and bring him some goodness. What do we learn from this? What we learn is no matter what negative environment he found himself in, he was able to hold on to his religion. He was able to hold on to the strength of his faith, all from what? From the validating words that his father gave him as a child. When his father told him that you have a bright future, Allah has chosen you, Allah has honored you, Allah has given you a special status, Allah sees something in you, you have a brilliant future. Then when he internalized that as a child, he's able to take that light, and doesn't matter what darkness is around him, it doesn't make him dark. He's still got that light inside of him. Now why is that important to highlight for you and me? Because we have to be careful what we tell our kids. We have to be careful how we talk to our kids.